Joining us now, she's back. I think she was happy because when she was on last year, they turned out to have a great year, going 38-18 and winning the first Big East regular season championship since 1997 up in stores there at UConn. I speak of head coach and her good friend Laura Valentino, the Big East part of that coaching staff of the year award winner as well. Welcome back, Coach.
Thanks so much for having me, Eric. Just always a pleasure jumping on and talking about our program and where we're headed, and just excited to kick it off into 2023.
Well, there was high expectations going into last year when we spoke, and boy, 38 wins, Big East regular season title, gets back to another Big East tournament championship appearance. As you reflected on last year, what comes to your mind?
Really proud of the success of the program, and first 30-win season in a long time for the program, and winning the regular season was a huge step in the right direction for us. I mean, for us to win every conference series, that was a huge accomplishment for the program. And, our alum are excited, and obviously we're driven to be back on the map, right? So, having a 38-win season definitely makes a statement, but obviously, me, and I'm hungry to take that next step, and us winning the Big East championship in that final game, and obviously pushing on to the next steps in regionals and super regionals in the College World Series. I mean, that's where this program is headed, and we're excited to come back with a chip on our shoulder. And I think the players definitely have that mindset of coming back to win a championship in stores this year.
Obviously, the Big East tournament, you run into Paige Rao and Villanova. That was kind of it's become a rivalry in the league there. What do you hope the returners learn from that experience? Because you were, again, 2 years ago, you were in the Big East final, ran into Villanova. This year, you win the regular season title, you beat them in the final weekend to clinch it. They come back and get you. So it's that extra hurdle, that next step. What do you hope the returners take from that?
Sure. I think that the returners are definitely took a bunch of different things from last year, but I'll talk about a couple of things that I think will definitely show up this year. Is number one, I'm a firm believer that your culture is put to the test in a final championship game. And if you ask our returners, some things that didn't go well for us in that final game was it felt like we had to do it all ourselves. We didn't come together as a unit. We kind of separated and felt all this pressure of having to do something that the program hasn't done in a long time. So I know the team is driven to excel together in tough moments this year. And, I think that will definitely pay off at the end of the season for us this upcoming year. And the other piece too is we have some solid returners that have experience being in the championship game. I think there's something to be said for that, and not only experiencing it, but sharing it. We have 7 new players on roster, which is almost, it's about over a third of our team. So sharing those experiences and fueling their confidence to be able to perform in the Big East tournament is going to be huge for us this year.
You're in your 4th year at Source. Has it flown by? That's my first part of the question. Has it flown by?
I can't believe it when I say it to people about how I am in my 4th year as a head coach. It's crazy. It's a very grateful feeling, and I love this place. I love what I do, and the fact that I've been doing it for going into year 4 is pretty remarkable. But it's just been so rewarding to see the growth of the program, and I'm surrounded by great people, which makes this place really special. So I'm happy to be going into year 4 and excited about the roster we have and the staff we have in place.
Do you feel you're on schedule or even ahead of schedule when you first took over the program? Because when you took the job, and we've discussed it last year, why you took the job, and you saw it, but you heard the noises. Some people are like, "Oh, I don't know, that's a great idea that you did there. Can you win in stores?" You've obviously proven critics wrong, but do you feel you're almost ahead in a way? Because you've been in the mix now for 2 straight years.
I'll let people compliment me on being ahead, but the hungriness inside of me and the high expectations of myself, I feel like we're on schedule with what I expect of myself in this program, and we're going to continue to push the envelope. I'm a foot on the pedal type of coach. And every time we accomplish something, I'm going to want a little bit more in years to come. And that doesn't mean that I don't celebrate the little successes, but I really feel good about where this program is, but I'm going to keep continuing to want more out of each and every one of our players and our coaches and our program.
What did it mean to be win that Big East Coaching Staff of the Year award?
I'm honored. I appreciate the award, but really it's a credit to the players. Winning that award is a credit to them buying into what we're teaching them. And for us to go out and, like I said, I think it's a true challenge to win every series. There's going to be times during the season where you go through bumps as a program and learning about yourselves. But our players really bought into the plan. You know, I truly pride myself on no one's going to outwork this coaching staff. And we work really, really hard to set our players up for success each weekend. And they bought into that as well and put in the work on the back end and did more than what was required. And that's really a credit to them for us to be able to win that award.
You've got a new face on your staff, a new assistant there. Tell us a little bit about Molly Rathbone and what she'll bring to the team.
Molly has been outstanding so far, great addition to our staff. She embodies the three values that all of us really pride ourselves on, which is teaching the game. We absolutely love to teach. We care about the relationships we have with our kids, and she has jumped right on board with our pitching staff in terms of getting them to buy in and knowing that, you know, she cares about them as people. And then last but not least, she loves to win. I'll never forget the question I asked her on her interview was, you know, what are your goals as a coach? And she wants to be back on the big stage for the final game. I mean, talk about success as an athlete. She was in the World Series, All-American at Eastern Connecticut, and competed in the World Series. And she wants to be back in that atmosphere at a top program in the country. So I love that hungriness and that competitiveness about her. And obviously she's from Connecticut. I feel really strongly about bringing in people that want to be here for long term and the loyalty piece. And there's a special pride in making where you're from a really great place to have softball. So I know she's excited to be close to home and just excited to have her on board.
Before we talk about this year's team, I want to reflect about the seniors last year that moved on. That helped kind of build this, you know, winning culture that, and really, you know, bought in to what you were when you came in. Just tell me about that senior class and what that meant to you, because again, you know, as you know, a coach's success is, as you mentioned, is about the players and if they buy in, and that group bought in.
Sure. I have a lot to be thankful for with that class. The majority of our lineup, right? You look at the starting lineup from last year was upperclassmen, and their ability to, I just appreciate that they had a relationship with the coaching staff and recognized that we were in it with them and for them. And I felt like we really got over the hump in terms of that in year 3 with the program, with the upperclassmen, and just small wins with them and celebrating the little things, not only with their growth on the field, but saw a lot of growth in them as people off the field. And I think that was a true credit to our success as a program. But you look at them now and the great things that they're doing and giving back. It's really, really special. And I'm grateful to be a part of their lives.
Let's talk about this year's team and start with the offense. You mentioned you lose some veterans offensively, some bats there. You do return Alexi Hastings, but tell me a little bit about the offense this year. Who are some of the leaders you expect to lead the offense?
Sure. I believe you can expect the same type of philosophy going into this year. We're going to run. We're going to put pressure on people on the bases. I'm really excited about our lineup this year. I feel that 1 through 9 is going to be really special. Even just in the fall season, it was interesting to play around with where do people fit best and you know, what pairs work well back to back. But I honestly, I mean, I think you're gonna see success obviously from Lexi. She's gonna put pressure on people with, you know, a triple threat lefty at the top of the lineup. John is back. John Sandin going into junior year. I just, like I said before, that kid's just going to keep getting better and better. And Rosie Garcia is, she is coming into her sophomore season. I think there's something to be said about after you're a freshman being a sophomore and learning a lot about yourself. So I see those three contributing a decent amount in the top of the lineup. And then we have a dominant freshman class. Ever since we recruited those kids, we told them you're going to be impact players for not only on the field but for the culture of this program, and they're proving that thus far this fall. So just excited to see them take it on when we hit the ground running in the spring.
How many of the freshmen and new faces you think will contribute not only offensively but defensively? Because that's just as big of a part, especially in your part of your team's success, is defense. Going back to the Hofstra days, there. I mean, defense is like mandatory. I don't think you could play if you couldn't play defense or back in the day, right? With Coach Larissa Anderson and Coach
Sure.
Edwards and all that, right?
Sure, absolutely. Defense wins championships. So I think that you could see 3 to 4 freshmen contributing in the lineup. Obviously, we have twin pitcher and catcher, Grace and Hope Jenkins from California. So that's a unique dynamic to freshmen on the mound and behind the plate. Potentially, you'll see at some point. And then, obviously, losing Bree in the infield, Bree Marcelino. So that's a position to be earned. And obviously Reese Guevara in the outfield. So, 3 to 4 spots are just like every position is up for grabs. And every year, what I love about my team is we recruit selfless players that are athletes. The majority of my players are shortstops, center fielders, and pitchers and catchers. That just because you played shortstop last year doesn't mean you're going to play shortstop this year. So moving those pieces around this fall and figuring out what's going to be best for the program. So they've been great about that, and just excited to see where the pieces fall.
What's it like coaching twins?
It's awesome. They're very different in their own special ways. It's funny because one is very, I'll describe Hope as a silent, confident force to be reckoned with, not only in the circle, but at the plate. And Grace is extremely competitive and a team first type player, and very, very bright behind the plate. So they bring some amazing intangibles to the table for the program. And I know they absolutely love each other, which is really neat. It could often become a competition, right? Like if one person's doing well and one person isn't, it's tough to be around, but they've done a nice job so far, and they're roommates, and they've been absolutely awesome for the program.
Obviously those two know each other so well. Obviously, it's the obvious statement. So I don't know. As a coach, is that something that you feel is an advantage? Is that something you believe in? And having that pitcher catcher relationship, would you rather kind of spread it out? What's the philosophy when it comes to a pitcher catcher combination? Do you like having one pitcher and a catcher catch a certain pitcher? Or do you like to spread it out?
Sure. I mean, our catching staff, Lauren Benson and Grace Jenkins, their number one priority is to take care of the pitchers. So, I think specifically the dynamic amongst the twins, obviously it's something they've had their whole life. So there's definitely a bond there, but it doesn't take away from, the time that Lauren is putting in to get to know Hope and the rest of the pitching staff as well. So they're working really hard to be leaders for our battery and get to know every single pitcher. And form that relationship, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to be a huge contributor to our championships, is not only the defense but our battery success.
You mentioned Lauren Benson. She got to play some softball this year with Team Canada there this
Yes.
offseason.
Mhm.
How do you feel that has impacted her? What have you noticed from her coming back after spending time with the Canadian national team?
Sure. So both Lauren Benson and transfer Samantha Ryan from Chattanooga State both had experience playing with the Canadian junior national team, and how special and what a great opportunity and stage to be competing at over the summer. And I'm proud of them. I feel that competing at that level is going to fuel their confidence, and that experience will help their success on a national stage as we move into the back end of the season. And I love those two kids. I think they're wonderful leaders for the program, and bring some really special character pieces to our team.
And some extra confidence. I've always talked to players and coaches that tell me that the thing they like about players playing for their international ball is they come back with more confidence for various reasons. Do you sense that?
Absolutely. There's a pride in playing for your country. And when you get to do that and play the game that you absolutely love, it fuels that confidence piece of my why, and I'm meant to be out there, and I'm meant to do this and perform for my team. And you just see that edge and that fire and smile on their face when they come back from an experience like that. It's such a grateful experience, and they come back with great perspective and confidence to compete with their teammates.
We mentioned Sam Ryan, their pitcher transfer, but of course, when we started about talking about your pitching stuff, it's got to start with Elise. And the year she had 19-5, 2.5 ERA, 167 strikeouts. First of all, just talk about her year last year, Sokolsky, and what you expect from her. And did you see that breakout coming from her? Did you see that? You probably did, but a lot of people outside probably didn't.
Sure. I think that, freshmen coming in, you never know what to expect with them. Obviously, you have expectations, but freshman year is tough. There's some challenges, and we try to prepare them for that, but nothing really prepares you until you're in it. So, was super proud of Elise and her performance last year. And in terms of the pitching staff, I mean, we are looking to be the best pitching staff in the conference. I feel like we have a lot of tools that complement each other really, really well. And I'm excited to just see them complement each other and perform for each other. I think that's the key, right? When you have multiple arms that are going to take on multiple innings for the team, is being happy for each other's successes. And I really see that coming together really nicely this fall with Molly as our coach. And they bring a lot of different things to the table. So can't wait to see it show up.
How many arms you feel comfortable right now as you feel from a depth standpoint?
Sure. 5. So excited to have multiple different tools. Like I said, east, west, up and down, off speed. They all have a little bit of something different. So excited to see that.
And then the chemistry with the pitching staff and Molly, her getting to learn the staff getting to learn her about blending. How's that blending going?
It's great. Molly is a player coach. She puts the players first and individualizes what they need, and is getting to know them as people and spending the time to see what goals do you want to accomplish here at UConn, and how can I help you get there. And her drive is showing up every day for them, and her work ethic, and those kids see that, and they're in their inner office talking shop and working on one-on-one stuff with her. And we're going into this individuals time right now. So it's a main development phase, and I know she's going to make those players better, and they're bought in. They're already bought in the last month and a half.
I can tell in your voice the excitement you have. And you mentioned this to me last year. Obviously, you had the veterans, the seniors we talked about, but you were excited even last year about that freshman class and say that they would contribute right away. And it feels like it's, again, the case this year. So I'm definitely trusting your instincts on this one, since you were dead on last year with the youngsters last year. Just talk about the young players and able to contribute right away. What's the key to doing that? Because that's not easy to do.
Yes. I love my team. I really absolutely do. But being a young player, and with this group specifically, and the young and the new players, I feel that this group specifically brings resilience to the table. I myself and my staff, we really prided ourselves on bringing in players that were tough and gritty and brought the work ethic piece to the table. And I can tell you right now, if anything, they're exceeding our expectations in terms of that. So just love what they're bringing to the table in terms of mindset and resilience. And I feel that that's trickling over into the rest of the team. Obviously, like I said before, when you have 7 new players, that's a huge chunk of your program, and it definitely makes waves right away. So I've loved what they've been doing so far.
As we talk, and we're speaking with Laura Valentino, UConn head coach here on In the Circle. As we talk, for the audience on our YouTube may notice this podcast not so much, but your background, which is one of the best backgrounds that I've had coaches on, you've got the softball stadium in the background. And like, I've been to stores pre the new stadium, and we've talked about the new stadium at last year, but I'm looking at this background and I'm in awe. Because that stadium looks even incredible from that photo. I don't know where that photo came from, but props to whoever took it. But you got the soccer stadium and then the softball stadium there, and it's just gorgeous. Like I've had other coaches comment on it. I believe you're hosting the Big East tournament again
We
this
are.
upcoming year, rightfully so. I would say. Just talk about the impact of that facility because that has to also help, as you've mentioned, with the recruiting the young players, and they walk in there, they have to be blown away. Are they surprised? Are they just anticipate? What's their reaction when they first see the facilities?
Sure. It's it's great to have these amazing facilities and the support of administration and our athletic director, because when you talk to a recruit about goals of the program, right? I share with each recruit, we want players that want to be a part of the best program in the Northeast, to compete at a national level, to be in the top 50 in the country, and to compete for a regional and a super regional and get to the College World Series. I mean, you look at a program like JMU, why not UConn? And when you say things like that to recruits, and then you come out to a field like what you see behind me, it matches the philosophy. It matches the passion and the competitiveness and excellence of the university across the board, especially in women's sports. Right? We celebrated the 50th anniversary of Title IX this past weekend. We had over 500 alums come back to campus across all sports, and you talk about the success of the university across the board in women's sports, and it's really special. And not only softball players came out to this field, but field hockey and basketball and soccer and lacrosse. And you're walking through these facilities and you're in awe and so proud of such an amazing place. So it's really, really a game changer, and just a credit to all the people that came before us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blown away by it because I've been into the campus. I called the softball game 6 years ago before the
Yeah.
stadium. Back then the stadium was being discussed, but I'm like, it's 9 day. Like I had to do a game from a closet room, basically, what it came out to be. And now I'm just in all of that. Do the players today understand how fortunate they are? Because I'm sure right now, as people are tuning into this episode, there's some UConn alums that are screaming, "Hey, I didn't have any of that. I wish I had some of that."
Sure.
That you all have today.
It's important for us to educate our current student athletes about what was here before them, and we make sure the gratitude is there. We have jobs that we do after practice in terms of cleaning the dugouts and sweeping the edges of the turf into the infield, and maintaining the beautiful things that we have. I'm a firm believer. I've been raised this way in appreciating everyone and everything that you're given, and we educate our kids on where we came from. We take care of our things. Everybody sweeps the shed, and we even have a mentorship program where our kids are connected with an alum of the program, and they get to hear stories of what it was like when they played. So the education piece and the gratitude piece is huge with a facility like this, because we're going to pride ourselves on shaping young women that are grateful for what they have.
Let's talk about a couple of Big East topics here. The Big East tournament I mentioned earlier, you're hosting it. It's expanding
Yes.
to 6 teams, I believe,
Yes.
which I like a lot. Because I'll say this, you don't need to comment on it, but I felt like didn't get rewarded for winning a regular season title under the old format with 4 teams. In my opinion. Whereas in 6, I think it does reward the teams if you win the regular season and so forth.
Sure.
What's your reaction to the expanding of the conference tournament?
Sure. I'm excited. It's obviously, to be back in stores is awesome. And to your point of, obviously the 1 and 2 seed get a bye on the first day. So that's a huge advantage, and excited to hunt for those top 2 spots. And obviously that's where we want to be. And being home is in a beautiful stadium like this, where we can create a championship experience for everybody in the tournament, is really special. I think that's unique for the Big East. And I know that the experience for all the student athletes is going to be really great in Source, Connecticut.
Yeah, I just think I like that a lot. Whereas before with the 4 teams, I mean, it's kind of like there's not a big gap, as you know, between 1 and 4.
Right.
A 14 can beat the top seed. I mean, you're going, it's a tall order. You really don't get any benefits under the
Mm-hmm.
format. So I do like that little tweak there to the Big East tournament. They're expanding there. Plus, it's more games and perhaps more opportunities to impress the committee. Because, I thought you had, if you would have gotten to the tournament, you would have been a 3 seed. a little bit with the great resume you kind of had there with the RPI and everything like that. Is that I know that's something that's a staff and the coaching staffs in the league. Your goals is to be a multi-bid league.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Bridget and I have talked at length about this, and our goal is to elevate the conference and continue to push to schedule really, really tough early on to benefit us on the back end. So that if one of us has a really great year, and I don't want to exclude others, just Bridget and I have talked about it at length, but we want to be in a place where we're making the tournament. If we don't win it at the end. So obviously, I think that a lot of people were excited about the year we have and might have been surprised, but we really weren't actually that close. We need to have a couple more wins, maybe on the front end. But that's the way our conference is right now. So just continuing to raise the bar and obviously demand more of each other, and that's only going to help us in the long haul as a conference when it comes to at-large bids.
Is that something you and the baseball program talk about? Coach Pender's obviously a great coach there, a great baseball
Yes.
program over there. Similar both. I mean, they're a great program, but they're kind of room for error type of deal as far as making the tournament scheduling. You both have similar challenges.
Absolutely. I love Jim. He's one of my greatest mentors, and we talk pretty often about a lot of different things. Obviously, our administrators and us kind of collaborate on scheduling philosophies and what's going to be best for our program. But the Big East, he was in the position where if they didn't win the conference tournament, they might have not gotten a bid, right? With as many teams that were so successful last year. So how can we strategically plan on the front end to eliminate that? And the unique part about baseball is they're actually scheduling so much further in advance than we are. So I think he's planned out through 2025 already, where it's how do you project, right, how good your opponents are going to be in those years. I think it's a little bit more challenging for him than for us. Obviously, in the next couple months, things are going to start to be planned for 2024 for softball. At least that's kind of the way the timing works, but it's nice to have an ear to pick the brain of in terms of opponents and where we should be going to challenge ourselves, yet also be in a position to win at the end of the season.
I can't believe they're scheduling that far in advance. Who do they think they are? Football here? I mean, what's next? Are we going to the next decade scheduling?
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. Well, when you're trying to win the World Series, I guess a lot of people want to play you, and you're one win away. So
I guess,
but it's pretty cool.
It is, but it's kind of like, to your point, it's a lot more difficult to kind of plan ahead. I mean, it's hard enough to do that a year in advance. Like, oh, you think this team is good in a year, but you never know. It's such a man. Yes. That's very complicated there.
Yes.
What other news from the Big East? Krista Wood is now in the league. She comes over from South Dakota State. She's the new head coach at Creighton. Your reaction when you heard the news she was joining the league?
Awesome. I'm really excited to welcome Krista to the conference. And like I said, it's just having a couple conversations with her out recruiting. I think she's going to fit right in terms of where we want to go as a conference, and just excited to have another great competitor, right? Creighton obviously has had great success in terms of individual players and has some solid performers last year. So she seems to obviously has a great resume and built up South Dakota State. And I think she's going to do a great job at Creighton. So excited to compete against her and have some more healthy competition in conference.
As you get closer to February, before you know it, the season will be getting going. You'll be on a flight somewhere to play.
Yes.
What's going to be the keys for this team to accomplish your internal goals?
Yes. For this team, I believe that the connection amongst them is really special. I've already seen it so far. It's really easy to be surface level, and when things get tough, that can be really challenging. And I feel really good about the chemistry of this program so far and this specific team. So that when adversity hits, I feel like we're going to really come together versus separate ourselves. And then the other piece, I kind of touched on it with the resilience of the freshman class, but I expect that you're going to see one of the grittiest teams you've seen from UConn softball in the past 3 years this upcoming year. You're never going to count this program out. And, I even saw it at one point this fall. I mean, being down 8-3 and coming back and winning a game in the fall. And you just see it. You see it in their eyes. You see it in their action. And there's a lot of winners talk, winners mindset, and winners action going on in our locker room, which is the key to success. So they're talking about it. And I think you're going to see that show up right from the get-go in February.
Well, we're excited to see your team before we know it in February, Coach. But in the meantime, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. An incredible year last year. I know it's just the beginning as you're building this program, this consistent success. And always appreciate you talking to us. And we'll talk to you down the road soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. Excited to talk in the future, and go Huskies.